Well, welcome to Wisdom from the Porch. Wisdom from the Porch comes to you from Las Brisas Retirement in San Luis Obispo, California, and I'm Bill Degnan. Wisdom from the Porch is brought to you by Nucci's Italian Restaurant in San Luis Obispo. You can give them a call at 805-545-9444 and Elder Placements Professionals. And you can contact them at 805-546-8777. Well, I'd like to tell a story that happened 2 weeks ago that I think is very, very important because I feel we've lost something along the way as people. I was talking to Bob about 2 weeks ago at table, and I told him a story that happened to me. I was taking Carolyn to Vaughn's, and I'm pushing the cart, and this lady came up to me. She was an Asian lady, and she said, "Oh, I've seen you on YouTube. I've seen you." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you very much." And she said, "I'd like to introduce you to my sons." And I said, "Okay." So the first young man came to me, and he shook my hand. As he shakes my hand, he puts it to my forehead. Then the other young man comes up, and he shakes my hand and puts his hand to my forehead. And I was kind of baffled by that. I had no idea what that was all about. So I continue on to go shopping with Carolyn. Now, Carolyn has spent many years, some time off and on in Asia. So I asked her, I said, "What was that all about?" And she said, "Well, that shows a sign of respect for your elders." And I said, "Really?" And I was kind of taken back from that. And I thought, wow, have we lost something along the way as a people? And that took me back to a dear friend of mine who went to Japan, and they were on a tour. And consequently, one of the tours was up on a Space Needle. He's up there and he said, "Oh my God, I forgot my camera. It's downstairs. It's on the bench." The guide says, "Don't worry. It'll be there when you get back." Dead silence. He looked at his wife and in his mind says, "Yeah, sure it will be." So they come down. There's the camera. And he also had the same situation. He has a son in Iceland. So the first time he and his wife went to Iceland, they went out for coffee on a Saturday, like we possibly do, like the Starbucks or wherever. And there's bikes, and there's children running around, and the little ones even in a stroller. And Linda said, "Well, that's strange. Don't worry, Mom. We don't have that problem here." So it tells me we've lost something along the way. And I think we're missing something. And I don't know where and when it all happened, but we're missing something. And I think what we're missing is the human connection. The human connection that we're supposed to look out for other people. Look out for your neighbor. Because what else do we have? If I asked each and every one of you to reach out and just hold each other's hand just for a moment, we're connected. We're connected people. We're like a chain link fence. Nobody in this world is going to escape emotional, physical, or even spiritual pain. We're all wounded. We're all wounded. But the question is, how can we help the other person We've lost something along the way. I brought this up. I took Carolyn to the doctor the other day, and I saw some literature he had, and I took Carolyn to the car. I came back and I said, I have a question to ask you. What does this one quote you have mean? And he said, which one? Help your neighbor. He said, help your neighbor in my profession is I can prescribe, I can do procedures. But after my patient leaves, it's a community's job to bring healing. And he said Edison had a quote, in the future, the physician might not use medicine like they've been doing before. And I thought, maybe we missed something along the way. Where is our brokenness? Where is the true brokenness in our life? And I think, as I look back on my own life, I knew my grandparents. I knew them very well. My mom and dad would work, and a lot of the kids in the neighborhood parents worked. And it just seemed that the elderly had a new job. That new job was, and it wasn't called babysitting. It was saying, I'm being there for the family. And I think we're losing that. I think we're losing the respect, not only for the elderly, I think we're losing respect for humanity. When we lose respect for the human condition, we've lost everything. Every 7 years in our body, we change. Cells change. That's why you get to be a teenager like Nancy at 101. Some of us 80, whatever. The cells have changed. But the brokenness for some of us hasn't changed. That's why it is important, I feel, to be a safety net for other people. We don't have to enable anybody, but I think we have to become an instrument of bringing peace. And peace is not going to come through magical conferences. Peace has to begin with ourselves. And we have a tremendous opportunity. I feel every day living in a community is to build each other up because we don't know how the other person feels. Think of that Korean family, what they have taught their children to have respect for elderly people. It was shocking. It was shocking. And I think how quickly at times I can get irritated because someone comes to me and I have my own agenda and I don't really snap, but I don't even listen to you. I don't even listen. And I've learned another lesson, to be able to be sensitive to somebody else with a condition that you don't have. And that happened to me this week. This week, I had the most wonderful experience I ever had, besides having a young person touch my forehead with his hands. You all know Carolyn is blind. She went down to UCLA to have a procedure. I took an hour, and it seemed like 48 hours, closing my eyes off and on and walking around blind. Walking around blind. I don't think it lasted more than 2 seconds, I think, where I had to open my eyes because first thing I hit my shin up against a table. Then I started to feel things on the table. I tried to pick up a pen and it took me forever to find it. And I'm trying to click it and it's upside down. So what I did, and I tried hard, I never made the hour. I couldn't make the hour. But that person has a lifetime at this. So I tried to walk and feel how that other person felt. I learned that lesson when John lived here, and he was in a wheelchair. And I used to go to his room because he used to come here every Thursday. And he'd invite me to his room and we'd sit and talk. And one day I went in there and his chair was gone. The only thing he had was his wheelchair. It was the first time in my life I sat in a wheelchair and looked up and people looking down. I never had that before. From a wheelchair to someone who has lost their sight, it helped me to realize I am fortunate to have what I have. But do I have the ability to be kind to everybody? To everybody. That brings us to the pinnacle of what life's all about. We only have each other. That's all we have, is you and I. And like the doctor was explaining to me, the future of possibly medicine changing, he says, you're fortunate. It can start at hospices. And he says it's called compassion and it's called love. So that's the strongest medicine humanity has. And I thought about that. And I thought this morning very early about Carolyn and me walking around for an hour and I couldn't make it. I know it wasn't even 5 minutes. And I thought of John. They had these disabilities, but you know what they also had? Something I didn't have. They had a unique way of sharing compassion to me and to others. And we're like holding hands. We are just like a chain link fence. We have Katrina, the young intern. I learned from somebody at the young age, and I can look at my grandchildren. And what I'm trying to demonstrate to them is that I'm reaching out to them, generation long gone, that I have respect for them. We've lost something along the way as a people. We've lost it. I think if we shut off all the noise in our heads, we can learn. I learned so much from Nancy. I've told her 100 times, till the day I die, I'll never forget that smile. Never forget that smile. That's medicine you can't prescribe. And compassion. We all are wounded and hurt in so many different ways. You know, think of this. God's first language was silence. First language. quiet over the abyss. And I think if we could learn to become more silent and get rid of a lot of this chatter in our heads, we can become more compassionate. And then the more we can become compassionate, you and I will be able to find those who are seeking us to help fix their wounds. And you don't have to prescribe some medicine from a pharmacy. Just to be compassionate, just to show I care. We had an incident just in the elevator the other day. I got on the elevator. Immediately, Phyllis said, "We have a problem." And one of our residents was fainting. And there were two other residents trying to ask me a person's name. We have, be compassionate. Someone's name is going, you can bring, I'll try to remember it. I'll tell you when I get done. Be alert to other people, to their needs. My selfish needs, I can take care of later if I can put my ego aside. If I can put my ego aside, I know that I can be the healer that we're supposed to be. Can't we just ask to make us instruments of healing? Can we become instruments of healing? Because when we see other people that are weak, in pain, not so much the physical, but their loneliness, the ones we don't see coming out of their room, can we be able to help them to find some rest? And when we see ourselves and other people very anxious, maybe it's time for you and I to pull apart and learn how to wait. Because you and I are going to become very fearful at times. Fear can overwhelm us. Maybe it's time for us to learn how to trust. And at our age, we can become lonely. And I think we see that often. When we see loneliness, let us help to try to bring love to those people. Because a place, if we pull apart from us, we're pulling apart from the human condition. We're actually pulling apart from each other. And maybe what we should look for is love for our own self. Because sometimes I think we beat ourselves up way too much. And the more we beat ourselves up, the sad part is the people around us we beat up too. And I would like to share this with you from 4:30 this morning. I hope you will come along with me to finding out some answers that I need and that you might need. I hope I'm on a better way to do things better, like reaching out to bring others hope and have others come along and fulfill their dreams. And above all, I need to know more about me before I get to know a lot more about you. Because on my way of becoming, I'm becoming more of a person inside, not outside. I want to become a person that wants to learn and to experience. I'm sure it won't be easy, but with your help, I'm on my way. And I do know through difficult times, that you'll be there for me and I'll be there for you. So I go back to thinking of that Korean lady out of the clear blue, seeing you on me on YouTube, introducing me to the two fine young boys, taught me a lesson about respect. I don't think they were more than 8 or 9 years old, but those two young men gave me a tremendous feeling after I found out what it meant to learn respect. Then I also am very grateful to learning from that experience how to respect other people's disabilities, from Carolyn's blindness to John's disability in a wheelchair. Look for the smile of medicine that Nancy gives. That is the deepest, cheapest prescription we'll ever have in our life. Let's bring back and try and figure out a way through love that we don't have to lose our way as people. Thank you and see you next week.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. I think she's your daughter back there. Yeah, there she is. She snuck in. She brought some popcorn.